Hey guys, Jamie here. So today I just wanted to talk about adrenal fatigue, and I've kind of touched on this in a much older video, but I thought I would kind of mention, adrenal fatigue and the things that you want to avoid for avoiding adrenal fatigue. So I feel like I had adrenal fatigue many, many years ago. I've said it before, it wasn't diagnosed, but I know I had it. I had all the symptoms, I felt it, and it is horrible. You basically can't handle any sort of stress. Like you've burnt out your adrenals, okay? So sleep's bad, mood's bad, energy's really bad. You're probably gonna have bloating, weight gain, water retention. It might not necessarily be a lot of fat gain, but there'll definitely be water retention. And it basically just affects everything, and it's not a fun place to be. Oh, hair loss, that's another thing. That's one of the things. Hair loss has been one of the trickiest things for me to recover. Like, I find that if I go through any stressful time, even with the tools that I have about how to keep myself and my adrenals well, I find like I'm way more sensitive to stress now than I was in my 20s. And whenever I go through like stressful periods, I'll notice it in my hair. Hair just, that's like one of the first things I'll notice is if I'm stressed out, maybe sleep and like hair. But yeah, that's one of the things that I find tricky is hair. When I burnt out my adrenals, I had tons of hair loss. I had to guess how much hair I lost, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 1/4 of the thickness. It was just coming out. It was also became very weak, and it was just breaking off from like the most simplest of things. And so that's one thing that I find is still kind of tricky is hair. But I also have hard water, and I don't know if anyone has hard water, but I've seen videos of people who have hard water where they say that hard water has actually made all their hair break off. So I don't know, I have hard water, and that definitely affects like the texture of your hair. That means that there's like high mineral content and it builds up in your hair. But anyways, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so I kind of got a little off topic there. But yeah, so adrenal fatigue is no fun, and yes, you can heal your adrenals 100%. You can heal, and my feeling is, and you can heal anything. The body is a miraculous thing, and don't believe anyone when they say that you can't heal, and the adrenals can heal as well. But I will say, even since I feel like I've healed them, I am way more sensitive to stress. Like I'm just more sensitive than I was like before my adrenal fatigue happened. So yeah, and while you have adrenal fatigue, you'll be so sensitive to like energy, and you won't be able to handle a lot of stress. Like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of some examples. Like, let's just say you were in a city on a highway, a busy highway. That might bother you, like the sound of noise or cars or even movies. Like, I couldn't watch certain movies. It was just too much for my brain, which was weird because I grew up loving scary movies, even in my 20s, loved scary movies. But when I was going through my adrenal fatigue, you couldn't pay me to watch a scary movie. It's interesting. But yeah, so, your adrenals can heal. And I just wanted to point out things that you should avoid if you don't want to have adrenal fatigue. And this especially is for women, because women, we are up against a little bit more than men in terms of we have a monthly reproductive cycle, and that monthly reproductive cycle takes away 60% of our immune system. Okay, 60%, that's huge. And then when a woman is pregnant, that whole 9 months, again, 60%. And then when she gives birth, you release like a lifetime's worth of adrenaline just to get you through that birth. Okay, so women especially are more likely to burn out their adrenals and suffer from adrenal fatigue. And so the tips that I have for avoiding that, like the things I wish I knew, because in my 20s, early 30s, I was cranking caffeine. I don't even know if I drank water much back then. Like, I was just living off caffeine and chocolate, so much chocolate, making all these, healthy chocolate treats, which I thought. And, but yeah, that's one of the big things, guys. You want to avoid caffeine, not just coffee, but tea, black tea, green tea, white tea, all has caffeine in it. And things like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, some of those drinks have caffeine. Energy drinks, no, they're terrible. And honestly, no chocolate. And I used to be obsessed with chocolate and caffeine, and today I don't need to have any of those things. I don't think about them really, and I don't miss them. So yeah, you really want to avoid caffeine and chocolate. For one, they're a neurotoxin. They're not good for you, and they also produce adrenaline. Okay, so what we're trying to avoid here is anything that raises our adrenaline frequently. Things that we can at least control. So no caffeine, no chocolate, stimulants. Even things like, this is going to have an effect on your adrenals big time. Things like Adrenal, and I'm not here to judge people. I mean, whatever, you do you. But I'm just letting you know that these things release a lot of adrenaline. They're very, very hard on your adrenal glands, your nervous system, things like Ritalin, Adderall. But anyways, I understand that some people in situations where they feel like they have to use them. So I'm not judging. I'm just, sharing this information. And so yeah, we don't want to have caffeine or chocolates and stimulants. And then another thing too is everybody is intermittent fasting, water fasting, dry fasting. Please God, don't dry fast. I know a lot of people are into this, and I'm not here to deny people's personal experience, because I know some people will say that it's like life-changing. And the thing is you don't need to fast. You don't need to, okay? You just need to eat fruit. See, the idea about fasting, what they all have in common is that they've all eliminated fat. All that fasting has just eliminated fat. All you need to do is eliminate fat, and fruit is perfect for that. So instead of doing all that fasting, just eat fruit, and preferably fruit and greens, okay, if you want to do some sort of fast. That way you're still getting in the glucose, which you absolutely 100% need, okay? You will burn out your adrenals real fast from water fasting, even long periods of juice fasting, intermittent fasting, and God, please don't do dry fasting. Oh my God. But yeah, this will burn out your adrenals so fast, and all you need to do, if you want to, have somewhat of like a cleansing effect, which is what people are doing with this fasting, you just need to eat fruit. It eliminates the fat. It's very cleansing. It's what our body runs on, and at least just have fruit and greens, okay? And just eliminate the fat, and you'll get a very similar effect, okay? So yeah, no stimulants, no fasting, okay? And another thing is that is hard on your adrenal glands and that we can't always control, and that's just our stress. Our lives are our lives, but there is some things that we can do. Your nervous system will tell you, what you can handle, especially if you're someone who's been through trauma, which most people have been through trauma. And then it's unfortunate because then, it's like the body keeps score. And every time you go out and you're in your environment, just out living life, work, at home with friends, shopping, at a restaurant, you can get triggered. It will trigger you. And then fight or flight is released, like a fight or flight adrenaline, right? Where you feel like your life is in danger, even when it's something that, like rationally shouldn't be dangerous. But, when it comes to trauma, it's very complex, and the body is very smart. The body is so smart, and it kind of feels like a punishment, right, when it comes to the trauma. But, your body, your soul is trying to get you to pay attention to something, and people ignore it, and, they'll drink and drug and stuff themselves with bad food, processed food, anything to ignore or have to deal with what has happened. And I think kind of what the body is trying to get you to do is to face it. Stop ignoring it, stop trying to cover it up, and just face it. But yeah, again, that's a little bit off topic. But so the point is adrenaline is released. It's like an adrenaline trigger. trauma, and we can't always help that. But all I can say with that is just listen to your body and stay out of your head, because the mind wants you to be able to dominate in life and be able to go anywhere, do anything, but your soul is trying to tell you something, that you need to slow down and pay attention. And if it's kind of telling you like, oh man, I feel overwhelmed, I shouldn't be at this like concert, like I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm being triggered, just pay attention to that and respect that. Okay, it's like your soul is trying to tell you something, but the mind is like, no, I should be able to handle this, I should be able to be here. So just be good to yourself, and what I mean by that is just take time for you. If your body's telling you to slow down and just be in quiet inside, read a book, maybe just walk out in nature, or just sit by yourself, or whatever it is, just try to pay attention to that, and that will help to lower the adrenaline, or hopefully not release adrenaline. And so that's another big one. Okay, and just trying to do our best to live lives that are, I don't know, not too, I don't know, I see it's hard because life is life, but to just try to live a life that's a little bit more simple and quiet. I'm not saying not to do fun things or go places, but just try to have a balance, like I said. Don't, just take time to relax, sit down for an hour. A lot of us struggle because we feel like we should always be in productive mode. And, like I said, just read a book, meditate, take some time for yourself, and just kind of, have, respect for yourself, and, things that maybe you've been through in your life that have traumatized you. Like, just try to be easy on yourself. And then another thing is, I'm sorry if this has kind of gotten a little off topic. And then another thing that's really hard on your adrenals, especially for women, is, over exercising. Okay. Over exercising will tank your adrenals. Like I see on Instagram, like some girls where they're making it seem anyways, like they're just in the gym every day for hours on end. Okay, that's not going to be good for women. I can't really speak for men. That is not going to be good for women. I kind of believe in like, maybe yoga or Pilates, or walking, hiking, swimming, going on a bike ride, being out in nature. Anything that gets you out in nature is good for exercise. But if you're going to lift weights, just use light weights. Like I would say no more than 10 pounds, or you could even do exercises that, aren't weighted, like just squats, just with your own body weight, or hip thrusts, your own body weight. And what do they call that? I think it's calisthenics, where you just use your own body weight. Don't put so much pressure on your body with really heavy weights. And don't exercise for so long. Like maybe keep it to 20-30 minutes really quick. I don't think mine's more than 20 to 30 minutes for sure. That's not how I want to spend all my time anyways, but I just like to it just makes me feel good to do a little bit every day. But if you go too hard, too long, too heavy, you will burn out your adrenals. And another thing is that everyone's into is cold plunging. Cold plunging, and I'm probably going to get so much flack for this because, again, a lot of people, I get it, it feels good. The reason it feels good is because when you cold plunge, you release a ton of adrenaline. So, of course, adrenaline can feel really good. I mean, people are out jumping off buildings, bungee jumping, skydiving. That's adrenaline being released because it's a kind of a fight or flight, life or death situation, and the body knows that. And adrenaline is released, right? And adrenaline does feel really good, and until you tank your adrenals, and then it doesn't. But it's like a high. You got, it's like this high where you feel so good, and you feel like mentally sharp, and you got all this energy. Adrenaline does do that, but we have reserves of it, and we don't want to wear them out. So. But back to my point with cold plunging. Cold plunging does the same thing, and I know a lot of men are into this, and you do you. But for women especially, you will burn out your adrenals. I've seen women cold plunging like every day on Instagram, and it's just a really bad idea, and you don't need to do that to yourself. I wouldn't personally do it. I wouldn't even have a desire to do it, frankly. I live in the north, and even just being out in winter, it's not natural for us, okay? Like if I went out in the cold and naked, I mean, I would get frostbite. I would die. So the idea of like just willingly submitting, like putting yourself in this situation, to me is just, I don't know, kind of crazy. But yeah, but yeah, guys. So I think that's pretty much it. Those are all the things that you really want to stay away from. Oh, also too, high fat diets. That's the other thing. I was almost going to forget that. High fat diets release adrenaline. That's why fat can feel really good. It's a lie though. It's a lie. It's not real energy. Adrenaline is released. And the reason adrenaline is released when you eat high fat is because high fat thickens the blood. Okay, it reduces oxygen to your organs, to your, to your brain. Very dangerous. So adrenaline is released as a survival mechanism to thin the blood. So that's why some people can maybe have this keto high, or feel really good for a while eating high fat, but it's a lie. It's misleading. Okay, it releases a lot of adrenaline, so we really want to keep the fats low. Like I recommend, on the day-to-day, like under 15%. I'm not saying you can't, have a one-off, whatever, one night or two a month or whatever, where you go out with a friend to a restaurant. Like, I'm not saying that you can't live, but I'm talking about what your habit is, like your day-to-day, and you really want to keep those fats under 15% and have periods where you don't have any overt fats, okay? But yeah, so I think that's everything, guys. I know I probably rambled a bit. I kind of got a little off topic, but yeah. Yeah, so that's my video for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back again for another video. Thanks, guys. Bye.